Hey, welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. I hope you're doing well there. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. And appreciate you stopping by. Miami Dolphins got another week of training camp in the books. Going to head into some joint practices, and finally, we can get some preseason action. And I can't believe it. I know that I know that first game is going to stink, but it's going to stink so good. It's going to be like sitting there near maybe some exposed gasoline at a gas station. It's gonna be like one of those intoxicating smells you just can't help but wonder. And that's how that first preseason game is gonna go against the Chicago Bears. Can't wait for it. But man, I gotta tell you, Storm Duck, quack, quack, going out there today, getting the orange jersey. I don't know what it is, man. What it is with this Chris Grier, because he can't draft a cornerback to save his life. But I guess he's got Xavier Howard, but that seems like eons ago. But man, he's good at finding the undrafted gems. And some guys have a name that was only born for greatness, and Storm Duck appears to be one of those. And it is a beaut. It is a beaut to see him thriving in a position that, look, it needed somebody to step up this year, right? You would hope like hell that it would be one of your high draft picks, and that, Cam Smith could step up. By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed today in Mike McDaniel's press conference, seems like he's a little fed up with the whole Cam Smith thing. Like, Cam Smith is once again out dealing with day-to-day stuff. And, I just think that Mike McDaniel's just like, all right, guy, like, we can't even really get an assessment of his development because he's not out there. And I was like, ooh, okay. That was a little bit of patience starting to leak. And look, the Dolphins have already made it known. Like, what was the term? Chris Grier brought up unsolicited this offseason. He's like, we're not holding Cam Smith's hand anymore. And he said, this is the story that we're all awaiting, his ability to stay on the field. So every time that there's a setback, we're trying to assess, but he has got to stay on the field to continue to develop. I like the stuff that he's doing in his development when he's on the field. Not subtle for Mike McDaniel whatsoever. And look, understandably so. The opportunity is right there. It couldn't be more golden for this guy, and he just can't play. He's dealt with his own bevy injuries. We talked about the guys who have durability issues and what an issue that is. But thankfully, on the other side of it, Storm Duck feels like he has grabbed the reins. And not only has he grabbed the reins, but he feels like he's getting the respect. You saw Tyreek Hill immediately this week, when he was not trolling the holy hell out of everybody, did bring up the fact that Storm Duck is a guy that he has noticed, that he's a guy who's getting his respect, and that you're feeling that go the other way with Storm Duck getting that kind of attention from the two best wide receivers. And look, this is a hell of a baptism by fire. I did see one today where he got a little turned around and cooked by Tyreek Hill, one of the clips that was circulating. That's okay. You're going to get burned. This is not one of those things I expect this guy to walk out there and be Jalen Ramsey. I don't expect this guy to walk out there and be Pat Surtain. I don't expect him to walk out and be one of the best in the league. But the Dolphins need to find somebody who's almost, honestly, the word is like palatable. Like, that's where they need to. Like, the hope is that you have so much of an onslaught coming from that front seven. Willie Gay today talking about the idea that the Miami Dolphins, he thinks, could be one of the best, that the potential's all there. Yeah, everybody says that fodder in camp. I get it. But you do actually see the building blocks there when it comes to Sealer, when it comes to whatever Kenneth Grain's going to turn into, Benito Jones with Jordan Brooks, with Willie Gay, with Dodson. And then on top of the fact of, we talked about the torrential downpour that they have when it comes to the pass rushers with Chop Robinson, with Jalen Phillips, should he be healthy, and with Bradley Chubb, if he's able to stay on the field. I mean, it is an all potential thing. Certainly, there are question marks. Then you saw today, Minkah Fitzpatrick goes out there, gets the first interception on Tua Tagovailoa in camp so far, and you just think to yourself, man, to have somebody go out there and make some plays and turn it around on the other team's offense, to take the ball away in big spots, but then actually do something with it, would be absolutely, absolutely huge. It did feel like today the panic kind of subsided a little bit for Mike McDaniel on the Austin Jackson thing, because I got to be honest with you, I was thinking some things. I was like, this is not going well. This is not going to feel like it's going towards a positive direction with him out there. But now being in a spot where, all right, he's not there. They bring in another lineman. We're going to see who could step up. Maybe there could be something that they did get Brewer back, so you're going to have mostly everybody there. This is a guy who obviously knows the system the most. So if anybody's going to need the least amount of prep time, it is going to be Austin Jackson, even though he's got a new teammate next to him, but he feels like he's going to have the most knowledge going into it. He was already dealing with something and rehabbing his way. You're just hopeful that this doesn't become something that lingers throughout. Like, let's nip it in the bud. Let's have it ready for week 1. Yeah, he won't be there for the joint practices. Maybe he'll get there for the last one, and things will be in a better spot. You get about a week to go with this. It's not like the Dolphins aren't used to it with the Teron Armstead thing. That's a little bit where, yeah, it'll be on the other side, but at least you have some reps with that. And, I do think, like, Brewer was talking about this week, because Aaron Brewer is, like, fully back now. And I think a couple of things that we're excited about what he was talking about is that there's a big time vibe on the run game, the physicality the Dolphins are going to bring in. Mind you, he's only had 2 practices to get it going, but that these guys do feel like that emphasis on the run is certainly there, even with Tyreek Hill troll jobs aside and Mike McDaniel maybe being annoyed, maybe not. I don't know. I don't really think it's too big a deal to make out of, but certainly the Dolphins center feels a certain type of way. And I think you also see a guy that's taken a little bit of leadership in another direction that the Miami Dolphins need from that position to get themselves in this place. Because, yeah, man, we're tired of hearing about all of the change in attitude. We've heard that damn thing for 2 damn years. But if the Dolphins can actually palpably give themselves something, then there are going to be great trickle-down effects. You're going to see a team that can really, really punish teams and then cannot sell out to take away the deep shot. They can't just be one-trick ponies. But, certainly there are a lot of, and I get it, there's a lot of ifs out there. I'm a little bit, you go through these journeys in training camp where, like, you're going through them in the place where it's like you have all the doubt in the world. And then you hit this, like, haze of, like, you miss football so much. And you're just like, but maybe things will pan out correctly. And it's especially around the time I think you have, like, 2 weeks into camp, maybe right before you actually take on anybody. You haven't really seen the Dolphins against anybody. You can't really be mad because it's like your team is either doing great or great. Like, it's one side of the football is going to be looking pretty damn good. And you're starting to talk yourselves into certain things if they could break the right way. It's definitely been a gnarly camp as far as injuries are concerned for the Dolphins because, man, they really couldn't afford the losses that they already had with losing Kader Kohu and even some depth with Artie Burns, Ashton Davis being out. They did get Fatu Melifonwu back today, which was good news. That was definitely something that was exciting and encouraging and has the and has to give a little bit of a jolt to this defense. But it also feels like you'll get some answers this week. But the idea that you have somebody like Storm Duck really taking the reins of one of those spots, especially with Kader Kohu going down, is a good sign. That could be looked upon as nothing but good. And you're hopeful that, Jack Jones and Hilton, who had a safety today, I was like, safety? They could do that in training camp? They have those? Apparently so. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad. Again, that's one of those things where I don't know if that's good or bad, that the Dolphins are getting a safety, giving up a safety. But look, the defense is playmaking. And I think one thing with last year, I think outside of Calais Campbell and Zach Sealer, wasn't a whole lot of that last year, especially after week 1 when Javon Holland did the punch out. There just wasn't a whole lot of that. If it wasn't Zach Sealer and it wasn't Calais Campbell batting stuff around, if it wasn't for those 2 behemoths, there just wasn't a lot of flash from this Dolphins defense. And now, it feels like the potential is there for there to be a lot more. There's a lot more meat on the bone there for this defense to go out there, make impact plays, and put the Miami Dolphins in a better spot. Certainly has its holes. There's no doubt about that. A lot of this, can be hope trafficking and me crossing my fingers because I don't know. But I am trying, because there are no games right now, to look at this with the most optimism that I can. I don't want to be a rat bastard about this. I want to try and come at this with, hey, it's fresh eyes, fresh start. Let's get into the spot. But having the stories like Duck coming in there and flashing the way that he has, that has to get you fired up in one way or another.